Hello everyone, I'm FMZ and today we're looking at a team guide of Tottenham Hotspur. If you have a team that you'd like me to take a look at, please let me know in the comment section. Don't forget to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you like what you see, and don't forget as well, I am now part of the FM Creators community. We have a Discord server, the link is in the description. Let's get to the club, shall we? So a brief history for those that aren't aware. We were founded in 1882. We finished runners-up in the Champions League last year. I went to Madrid. Wasn't a fun experience, let me tell you that. We have recently moved into our brand spanking new stadium. It is amazing. 62,214 of us cram in there. And last season we finished 4th in the Premier League. This is the squad that they say are our best 11. So it's Lloris, Aurier, Vertonghen, Alderweireld, Rose, Ndombele, Eriksson, Sissoko, Ali, Son and Kane. So it's a diamond shape in midfield with 2 up top. There's our loan obligations with Giovanni Lo Celso, who will be joining us at the end of the season permanently from Real Betis. A lot of our youngsters are out on loan. Cameron Carter-Vickers, George Marsh, Jack Rolls, Kazenga Sterling, Luke Amos, Anthony Georgiou and Jack Clark, who we bought from Leeds but we loaned back to them until the end of the season. So, the club culture. So we are required to develop players using the club's youth system. So that's your requirement. We have a good academy. You have to use it. Basically, that is one thing that they require from you. Play possession football. Sign players under the age of 22 for the future. Play attacking football. Sign English players, that is only preferred rather than desired or required. Do not sign players over the age of 30. And play entertaining football. It's what we love at Spurs. The 5-year plan, maintain self-sustainability. That is a long word to say. Maximum 2-year contracts for players over the age of 30 and to work within the wage budget. Looking at the rest of the 5-year plan. So the club want us to continue to qualify for the Champions League. During the first season, they want you to reach the quarterfinals of the Champions League and qualify for the Champions League for next season. That is a requirement. In the FA Cup, they want you to reach the final. That is a preferred thing. We haven't reached the final since 1991, so good luck with that. And it's not important, the EFL Cup, although it is a trophy. So if you want to win it, by all means. By the end of 2021, they want us to reach the latter stages of the Champions League and work towards winning the Premier League title. By the end of 21-22, that title challenge needs to come and then maintain it for the next 2 seasons. So you've got a good 5-year plan there, folks. Hopefully you can do it. So after 2 transfer windows without buying a player, Tottenham spent a lot of money in the transfer window just gone, £89 million, ringing back in 34 million, it has to be said. With the likes of Trippier going, Vincent Janssen, George Kevin Nkudu, Josh Onomah. But the majority of the players that we have let go have either gone on a free or have gone out on loan. Kieran Trippier being the major disappointment from the ones going, to be brutally honest, and we'll see why later. But coming in, you had Ryan Sessegnon, Jack Clark, who went back to Leeds on loan. Tanguy Ndombele was the big outlay of the summer, £54 million. And Lo Celso was bought in on loan, as I mentioned earlier. That will be made permanent next summer. We'll take a look at the clause in that shortly. So, taking a look at the squad. We start with the player who has the best ability, and that is, of course, Harry Kane. So, yeah, Harry Kane. What can we say about Harry Kane? He's 25 years old. He's valued at £77 million. He is the England captain. He has scored 125 goals in 178 appearances for the club, finishing a 19, penalty taking of 20, work rate of 18, stamina of 17. The boy has it all. Plans. In the short term, he wants to win a trophy, and he's excited you might have the opportunity to win the club in the first season. So yeah, trophies are going to be a thing that you're going to have to win, because Harry Kane is concerned that he should be looking to move on to a bigger club. So yes, you best start winning trophies, and quickly. Next man down is Son Heung-min, 26 years old, valued at £53 million. 42 goals in 130 appearances for the club. The good thing with him, he has 3 long-term plans. One of them is a preference to play in the Premier League. So Sonny is not going far for you. finishing of 16, work rate of 16, stamina of 16, natural fitness of 16. The boy will run and run and run. He can obviously play as a striker as well. Looking at our next most important player, ability-wise, is Dele Alli. 23 years of age, valued at £49 million, plays the attacking playmaker role, 42 goals in 131 appearances. He is another player that wants to win a trophy. We have gone so long without one. 2008 was the last time Tottenham won anything. That was the League Cup. So, yes, as I said earlier, winning trophies is going to be important for you to get going straight away. Dribbling of 16, teamwork of 17, off the ball of 17, flair of 17. Dele Alli on his day is unplayable. And hopefully he can do the business for you. Looking at the squad as a whole, so you'll have 3 goalkeepers to choose from. Obviously, Hugo Lloris being the number 1, Paulo Gazzaniga being the number 2, Michel Vorm being the number 3. Vorm was recently brought back to the club. Defensively, you are a bit short, in my opinion, at right back particularly. Obviously, with Kieran Trippier's departure in the summer, Serge Aurier and Kyle Walker-Peters are your 2 right backs. You may look to do something with one of those 2, or indeed bring someone else in. Left back, you're okay. Danny Rose and Ben Davies, 2 solid left backs. In the centre of defence, you have 4 good centre halves in Toby Van Foyth, Davinson Sanchez and Jan Vertonghen. We'll take a look at the contract situation shortly because that will help your thinking in terms of what you want to do, bringing players in, etc. Eric Dyer can also play as a centre-half, although predominantly has been used in midfield. Speaking of midfield, you have an abundance of talent in there. Winks and Sissoko have been the midfield pairing for the last season or 2, but you do have Tanguy and Ndombele to bring into that equation now at £54 million. He's looked good so far, what I've seen of him in real life. Victor Wanyama is still at the club. A good, solid midfield player on his day. Ryan Sessegnon was brought in the summer and looked a good prospect with Fulham last year, so a good player for you there. Giovanni Lo Celso is the ace in the pack, if you like. Not really seen too much of him, but I've read good things and I've heard good things, and I'm sure you have too. Lucas Moura, the hero of the Champions League semi-final last year. Nothing more needs to be said about him, really. Christian Eriksen, again, we'll look at the contract situation. You know how good Christian Eriksen can be on his day. Eric Lamela, a little bit injury prone in my opinion, so you may want to look at doing something with him. Obviously, we've already mentioned Harry Kane. No more really needs to be said on him. So this is your main issue, in my opinion, when you take control of Tottenham. It is the contract situation. So Michel Vorm, don't worry about him. Been brought in short term. He's on 40 grand a week, which is a bloody farce, frankly. But as I mentioned earlier, obviously you've got 2 good goalkeepers in Hugo and Paulo Gazzaniga. If you want to move him on, I would suggest you do it quickly and bring in maybe a young goalkeeper. We have got some good young goalkeepers in the development centre. We'll have a look at that shortly. It's the centre half section where you really desperately need to have a look at the contracts. So Jan and Toby are both out of contract. They've both been regular starters for years. I'm talking like 3 or 4 together, and that is something you need to address straight away. Lo Celso, again, don't worry about that. He will be joining you at the end of the season. Christian Eriksen is another one who is out of contract. He is the last player that's out of contract. If you can get all 3 of those to sign new contracts, I want you to become the Tottenham manager permanently, because they are very integral to your team going forward. But again, if you want to try and move them on, obviously the August window is the best opportunity to do that, because once they get to January, they will be able to sign pre-contracts with anybody across Europe, and you'll be stuck with not getting the fees from 26.5, 36.5 and 67 million pounds respectively. That is money you could use to buy some good players. So I mentioned earlier the 2 backup goalkeepers you'll have at your disposal. Alfie Whiteman and Brandon Austin are the 2 in question. In my opinion, I would loan one out and I would keep one. You've got to think Champions League squad. You've got to think homegrown talent. Obviously, it depends what you do with Michel Vorm, I suppose, and to a certain extent Gazzaniga. If you decide to keep either or get rid of one of them, I would certainly look to push one of these guys up to number 3 if I were you. But it's in the under 18s where you'll find probably your biggest gem, and that is Troy Parrott. My opinion, get him into the first team as quickly as possible. Get him to learn from Harry Kane. He has the potential to be a 4-star player. There is a lot of hype around this kid. There has been for a couple of seasons. Is he one for the future? Only you will be able to determine that, and hopefully it works out for you. So the last thing we need to have a look at are the tactics. Now, Tottenham, since Mauricio Pochettino took control of the club 5.5 years ago, have predominantly played this 4-2-3-1 system that you can see in front of you. It is a system that we've played for a very long time, and to be perfectly honest, it's a system that I wouldn't mess with initially. You can see the familiarity rating is quite high. That's because the players in that team know that system. The club at times over Mauricio Pochettino's reign have played 5 at the back. It's predominantly been this, particularly at home. The 4-2-3-1 has been the staple, particularly with Lucas and Son wide, pace, power, out on the wings, the guile of Eric Lamela to come off the bench. As I say, it works. You may now, with Ndombele in the picture, want to potentially have a look at playing 3 in midfield. That is an option, particularly away from home. I'd go down that route, but I would suggest, and this is only my suggestion, of course, all of this is just a suggestion for you. I would play with pace, I would play on the counter-attack. That is the way that Tottenham have been playing for the last few years. It has worked, obviously, 2nd, 3rd and 4th place finishes, respectively, in the last 3 or 4 years. As a starting point, certainly with the players that you have now, it is a good place to start. So there we go. That is my team guide to Tottenham Hotspur. If you've enjoyed today's video, please leave a like. If you haven't subscribed to the channel but like to do so, please hit the subscribe button down the corner. If you have a club that you would like me to have a look at, please let me know in the comments, and I will certainly do my best to do a team guide on them. Don't forget as well, I am now part of the FM Creators community. We have a Discord server. The link is in the description. That was the team guide for Tottenham Hotspur. I hope you've enjoyed that. I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.